right, we're live. It's the Barncast Live with Kyle Rush, Zach Blackerby, and Daryl Dapprich. I almost called you Zach Dapprich. I had to catch myself in the middle of it. Whatever. We're gonna have some fun tonight, like we do every Sunday night. Tonight, I think the big topic is gonna be. It feels like it's gonna be all about DJ Durkin. It feels like that everybody's torn. I think some people have made up their minds before this game, and maybe this just helped solidify it. But we're going to talk about what happened on Saturday. Should it hurt? Should it help? Should it even be counted at all? Should it even be looked at all as far as DJ Durkin's candidacy as head coach at Auburn? He's obviously going to be in the mix. I think that's going to be the discussion tonight, because it feels like you look at social media, you look at message boards, other podcasts, some say fire everybody, just clean house, get rid of everybody, and then there's others that that are probably going to be like us. There's arguments on both sides. So Dap, I want to start with you. Just talk about the game Saturday and what you saw from Durkin that you liked, what you saw from him, what you saw from that you didn't, and anything that maybe hasn't already been discussed.
I think that the diving into the game is a great analogy of maybe his candidacy as a head coach. There's good and bad. There's pros and cons. So I just want to preface this by saying that both arguments can be true. I think there are some things we saw that Durkin showed Saturday night that would want people to have him as the head coach. And there were some things that would leave some to be reservation. So for me, first of all, I think I'm just wired a little bit different. The very first thing I liked was half of the Auburn bench leaving the bench to come get some from Vanderbilt at midfield. See, that's a mentality to me. And I know that sounds bushlit, but I feel like Auburn was missing that edge, and no one should be allowed to intimidate you or push you around.
We got penalized or something, didn't we? Wasn't there
both teams got penalized on sportsmanlike conduct? Vanderbilt started it. They did. They walked to midfield and were just yelling, screaming, shooting birds. And Auburn had enough and engaged. If you go back to what happened in the coin toss and overtime against Missouri,
that was embarrassing.
That is why I liked that. It set the tone as this is a different Auburn. We're going to fight. We're not going to be intimidated. So that was the first thing. He instilled that mindset, I believed. All right. Secondly, that I don't like the narrative that I hate when people say players play hard for a particular guy. I mean, that's your job if you're a college football player, especially this day of NIL. You're supposed to play hard. But they did play differently for him. They did. I mean, we can talk about playing hard for yourself and your money and all that, but there was a unity and a cohesiveness. The biggest thing, and here's the biggest takeaway, is every time Auburn blew a lead or gave up the lead, old Auburn folds like a cheap tent. This Auburn kept fighting and did not get deflated and did not get demoralized and kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. That, to me, is a reflection upon him as a head coach. So I'll start with those things that I liked. I'll let you guys respond to that, give yours, and then I'll go back to the not so great things, I think.
Anything you disagree with, Zach, or anything to add to that?
No. I mean, obviously it's not fair for, to put the whole losing culture on him, finding a different way to lose. I don't think that's entirely fair. I do think the defense being elite all year, and then when he's asked and kind of pulled to put attention other places, and then the defense is awful. I do think that's a question worth asking, but is that a huge argument against him? I don't know. I need to see what it looks like against Alabama.
One thing that I liked is, look, DJ Durkin's hired one coach on this whole staff. So he's got one guy. Okay. So you had to take a culture that was built essentially with guys that just aren't they're not essentially who you brought in. You brought in one guy. So you had to go find one guy in a broken offensive culture. You had to find one guy to be the voice. And I think it speaks volumes that he picked the right guy. It could have been Kent Austin. Kent Austin has more play calling experience. Kent Austin would probably have been the choice of most, but he went with Derek Nix, and he said, "This is what we're doing. This guy is the offense. He's going to be the only voice, and that's who we're going to go to." And I was just so proud of how the offense handled things like that, the way they went out and executed. And I was worried that the only thing that could happen with DJ trying to change as much as he could in 1 week, the only thing that could happen is the defense would take a step back. And unfortunately, that did happen.
So,
go ahead.
So our topic is DJ Durkin's candidacy as Auburn's head coach, right? Like that's the main thing we're discussing here.
I guess, but both sides, people are torn, so we're trying to give all sides.
Yeah, and I don't think one game is enough. And I think we're fortunate. I'm curious to see how he handles the QB situation against Mercer, and then obviously the Iron Bowl is going to be crucial. Let me ask you this, Kyle, because you're still pro Durkin, right? You're not
Correct.
swayed by this game. That's correct.
Not in the least.
Want to make sure. Okay.
Yep.
Do you think after singing this, which, I mean, if you're pro Durkin, it's probably not going to change your answer to this, which is fine. I don't think it's a bad thing. But do you believe Auburn can win a championship or make the college football playoff with DJ Durkin as the head coach?
100%.
100%.
100%. Here's another thing. I don't really care how the outcomes of these next two games. I don't care. I don't really care how they play out, because I know the term audition is used a lot. And to me, the audition, and if it's you, Dap, I'm definitely not singling you out.
I know. I say it a lot.
To me, the audition was the previous 16 games with no support on offense whatsoever.
But he wasn't a head coach in those previous 16 games, so that's not fair.
To me, it doesn't matter, because he's the head coach of the only responsibility that he was given, and it was executed at an elite level. And I just think breaking. Hold on, real quick. To tear down 3 years of poor culture on the offensive side of the ball and rebuilding it back in 1 week, I think the expectation that a lot of the little things that cost us games, that they would be fixed, to me is unreasonable. I think it's unreasonable. And not only that, I don't think it should be an indictment on what it would look like as Durkin as a head coach when he can go actually hire everybody that he wants to hire instead of only the one guy that he brought in. What were you going to ask, Zach?
Does Saturday's game, all of it, not just the outcome, just all of it, does it make you like Durkin as Auburn's next head coach more or less, or the same?
Again, it doesn't change.
So the same.
It doesn't change anything for me, because I don't think there's
nothing about the game Saturday that was like they gave you more ammo to be like, yeah, Durkin's the guy.
Unfortunately, this is the unfortunate thing. Unfortunately, it didn't give you any ammo, I don't think, because there were positives and negatives, like Daryl said. There was enough that if there were people that had a little bit of a doubt, or they weren't on the Durkin train, I guess, to begin with, it kind of solidified things in their mind, I think. Yeah,
and I said this when Daryl and I talked this morning. I was like, you're going to find what you were looking for. If you wanted Durkin, I think there were things that you could kind of pick out from Saturday and say, here you go. And then vice versa, if you wanted to pick against it. Some of the part that I'm struggling with logically here is the folks that are giving, and I like Durkin. Durkin's probably my top 3 for sure. So like, I'm not like against Auburn hiring Durkin. I want to be clear. I want to be clear with that. But there is some logical stuff that I don't think fully connects, because a big chunk of the pro Durkin crowd is, yes, the offense was fantastic. And I'm like, okay, like that's true. The offense was great. The defense was not. The defense was the worst it maybe has ever been under Durkin. And so then my question is, okay, yes, the offense was great. But unless you're expecting him to retain this offensive staff, I don't think that matters. Like, I don't think that's relevant in this conversation.
I think it's relevant for, I think it's
yeah, go
relevant.
ahead.
Yeah, I think it's relevant for, like, it's relevant to look at like decision making and leadership and trying to fit. I understand. I mean, I know you're going to hit me on the defense, and like that is what it is. Again, we got 16 games prior.
I'm not trying to prove you wrong, Kyle.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, like,
I totally get it.
On an island for thinking this way, and so I'm asking y'all to reel me in.
Well, I'll give you another logical leap that I feel like people.
Well, can we address that one first, though?
Yeah, go that one.
Well, it's just all decision making, is what you're saying. So,
yeah,
my pushback to that is, let's say they named. Give me another defensive coach on staff. Anybody?
Rock.
So let's say they promoted Rock.
Vontrell.
Whoever assistant coach to interim for whatever reason. Maybe they wanted to protect Durkin. We talked about those arguments before.
Yep.
And they named Derek Nix play caller, which is probably what most people on the staff would have done. Are we still having the same conversation here?
I don't understand. I don't know that I understand.
Like, was the decision just to make Derek Nix play caller, or are we assuming he was more involved than just that?
Who is he? Durkin?
Durkin, DJ Durkin. Yes.
Oh, I think he was very involved based off of the conversations that he had. He talked about the defensive staff being in the offensive meetings and working on the game plan together.
Okay.
Like that was part of what he said. So I think it was definitely involved. I wish we would have had a bye week to kind of get everything on track, but it kind of looked like they spent more time trying to get the offensive side right, understandably so, because the defense has been so good, and maybe neglected some things on the defensive side.
Okay. Can I give? Let me jump in on the couple problems that I have with the logic on. I think one game is not enough to either determine. There are so many people just jumping in I'm so pro Durkin now. I'm pro Durkin. I want Durkin to get the job. You're not one of those, Kyle. You've been there all along.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Johnny-come-latelys that see one game because he has a fiery post-game locker room and he cried at the podium and got emotional, which was powerful. I get it. But I'm saying this, and I said it on the show this morning. At the end of the day, one game is not enough. I think one game's not enough to discount him as the coach, and one game sure as heck ain't enough to coronate him as the coach, because Auburn lost that game last night by the same margin of victory that they've lost all the other ones where they were so close. Nothing changed with the result. We talked about this. They took a different route to get to the same destination last night. Why did that happen? Well, the stat that Cole Kublik put up made me want to throw up, because it is so Auburn with some of the things that have been happening statistically to this team the last 3 years. Vanderbilt is 1-170 now when they give up 38 points all time. The only time they lost was last night, to where the biggest responsibility or side of the ball that Durkin's had was the defense. So I get the previous 16 games. I get stats. I get all that. He cleaned up the third and longs that, remember, we weren't real high on his defense at the beginning of last year when it was 3rd and 15 and 3rd and 12 and he couldn't get off the field and there was personal foul penalties. People have short memories. I'm just saying, don't crown him yet. Don't discard him yet. That's why I like to use the word audition. And I know there's still 2 more games. If he comes out and Auburn just blasts Mercer with Deuce Knight at quarterback or whatever, and then he comes out and beats Alabama, it's a whole different discussion. It's valid. It's warranted. This team has to learn how to win and get rid of that culture. He's part of the culture. I'm sorry, he is. There are times that Auburn, I love this defense. And I know this is controversial because somebody else said it and got grilled for it. There were times this year where if the defense makes a stop, there's enough points scored to win the game. Missouri last year. I'm just saying, if we're going to isolate stuff, I get tired of people also saying Braum lost last night. He lost to Harsin. He's gone. He's out. Summerall lost to Memphis. Not Memphis. It was South Florida. Antonio. Yeah, Texas San Antonio. He's out. The overreactions to one games, good or bad, in my opinion, just need to stop.
I would wager that there's not that many people though that are like after last night that weren't already on the Durkin train. I could be wrong on that. And hit me in the comments if last night you were unsure and after that performance you decided I'm on the DJ Durkin train. Let me know in the comments, and then I'll say
I think those people exist.
I don't think there's very many. I could, and again,
I talked to a few today. I mean, it could be, small sample size, but I think those people exist.
It is hard not to get emotionally invested when you watch him and how he interacts with those young men and how he handled himself at the press conference. I would tell people just be weary of that, because we heard 2 years ago, Freeze is building something. The results don't matter as much when we blew games late and lost games that we shouldn't have. He's building something. The recruits are coming. And what that did a couple years ago was start a downward spiral of a losing culture where that team could not close. They just didn't know how to win. That starts with Freeze. I'm not absolving him. But does any of that rub off, do you feel like, Kyle? Is there a danger of it rubs off and it just becomes like this black cloud hanging over the football facility because that's all they've done? And last night could be another example of, here we go again, new coach, new regime, same result. That could lead to some frustrations, all I'm saying.
It feels a lot like correlation and not causation, which I guess maybe there could be a culture that if you get into a rhythm of losing, that it doesn't necessarily matter. It can just kind of permeate throughout different coaching staffs and things like that. But that just really doesn't concern me with this guy. And you mentioned John Summerall. John Summerall lost to an unranked team 2 weeks ago, got blown out, gave up a ton of points as a defensive guy. But you know what? That didn't deter me because of the body of work that he's provided to me that makes him a solid candidate. He goes to Memphis and rebounds and gave up a ton of points, but they had scored enough to win. DJ Durkin's defense, to me, I've heard that we didn't make a play, at the end of games or something like that a few times. And sure, that's the case. But like, how many other times during that game did we give the ball to the offense to try to make a play to win? Like that was the story of the beginning of the year. We gave you the ball back multiple times to go win the game. And then it's like that last time, that's the one that's kind of being held against us a little bit. Last
time matters though. The last time does matter the most.
See, sometimes it's not that you do it, it's when you do it in a game. And you know what I'm saying? I mean, crunch time, getting the stop when you're up 3 and 3 minutes to go is different than getting 4 3-and-outs in a row in the second quarter. That's all I'm saying.
And it's not always fair, Kyle. Like,
it's
to your
not
point,
fair.
It's not fair, but it is a thing.
But it's a direct formula into winning and losing, in my opinion. There's causation there between winning games and closing games. This defense has been fantastic statistically. I think there's some eyeball test things that when you do a deep dive, the stats are absolutely awesome, but there's some things that could be looked at and go, that might be a little misleading, or that may be a little bit. I mean, have you heard the fact that if Durkin took away at all his attention the last week, which obviously he had to focus on bigger things that a head coach does, that somehow that's why the defense took a step back last night. There were some things that were maybe overlooked. And when he looks at people at a press conference and says, we did not know how to react, or we did not respond well to when Vanderbilt changed what they did at halftime. His exact words were, we weren't prepared for that. I thought that was telling, because he was preparing to be a head coach last week.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. And so can he get that fixed? Absolutely. He's got 2 more games. If he comes out and throws a game plan at Alabama and Simpson and keeps them in the 20s and Auburn wins the game, he has absolutely elevated himself to me, that in 3 weeks there's growth there.
Sure. I'm looking forward to that. That's
Do y'all
almost what I'm
think
expecting.
Durkin is Auburn's next head coach? Not your opinions. Do you think he's Auburn's next head coach?
Honestly,
I would lean no.
I would lean no.
If I
I say
had
no
to guess,
either. When I hear some of the interviews that are allegedly going on this week, I say no.
Kyle,
Yeah.
you want to get to some super chats?
Yeah, let's hit some super chats. Jacob Johnson says our plane is in Oxford right now. Thoughts?
Yes.
We got plane trackers. I have zero thoughts because we're not going to get Lane.
I think that maybe Lane Kiffin's daughter is dating an Auburn dude now.
That could be the case.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything to take away from that. There was one last week where it was like Arizona State was off for the whole bye week.
It was that event, the Charlie Kirk event.
And then it was a TPUSA.
Guys, after Jetgate, it'll never happen again. They've learned their lesson with tail numbers.
They're not going to use our planes.
Yeah,
it's still fun.
Luke Wigginton, please put Brandon Frazier on the prayer list for the Iron Bowl.
Well, it's good. You got a bye weekend. You got Mercer. You can hold him out for 2 games. Yeah, I think he'd be back
for sure. We need him. We need him healthy because there's a clear drop off after that. James Stallings, any update on the search? Love you all. There's supposed to be. This is an off week. So I think it's going to be a really big Zoom interview week where they'll talk to some folks, talk to some agents. And I would imagine there could be some movement start to kind of leak out maybe just to test things, to see who's spilling the tea, I guess. But there should be some action going this week. Do y'all expect much to come out though?
Probably no. And I think this is exactly how the process should be. And again, I've said this before. Every time you kind of get a feel or a lean or a hunch as to where a coaching search goes, it's a candidate out of left field that gets hired.
Never know. You also never know what information's being put out there for bait. You know what I mean? From agents too.
Yeah, I think the stuff that we hear this week, because I do think we'll hear stuff, it almost makes me think, okay, so it may not be him.
Yeah, every name you hear, this week you can almost check them off
the
list.
Only time that's happened in Auburn's coaching history since I've been here, and I'm old, so I've been through 6 coaching searches. Tuberville's name leaked, and it was literally people saying over and over, he's Auburn's next coach. He denied it, and he was Auburn's next coach. And I think everybody kind of assumed Gus Malzahn was going to be the candidate after Chiswick. Other than that, it has been Terry Bowden, what? Gene Chiswick, what? Brian Harsin. I mean, these names have just been, and even Freeze to a certain extent was
Hewitt. We kind of knew late after the Lane stuff fell apart.
Yeah.
But
Yep. Thomas Jones says Hugh was right. Auburn was close. The problem, Hugh was the one in the way. Is it not remarkable? Is it not remarkable how? And I will come eat just a pile of crow, okay, on this. I'll eat so much crow on this. I could not have been more wrong on the effort that I think Hugh Freeze would give for this job.
Me too.
I thought this would be.
Yep.
I thought this would be his swan. Like, this is where I'm going out. I'm going to go out fighting. I'm back in the SEC. I'm going to prove myself. And it is amazing that when they removed him from he's the only person that changed. The offense goes out and has one of the best outputs they've had, even for every game that Hugh was here. It was really, really remarkable that that's the case.
Yeah, I agree. I'll own it. I was wrong too. I equated effort in recruiting and player roster development to effort in game planning, scheming, team meetings, that kind of stuff. And they're just not the same. They're polar opposites.
I'll tell you all this. I don't think I've told anybody else, but Bo Wallace reached out to me after the game. And he said that I've watched the sideline view. I'm about to watch the all 22. He goes, guys, that was Hugh Freeze's offense. That is old school Hugh Freeze. Tempo, RPO, only giving the quarterback half the field reads. When their quarterbacks are struggling, you go fast, you get plays in, you give them a very limited options of what they can execute, and they go out there and do it. He goes, that's all we've ever learned. That's all he taught me. It's like, and he said, I can't believe what we saw. I can't fathom what we saw. He's probably going to record. We're probably going to record later this week, and it's going to be really good. I got get some more in-depth stuff there, but yeah, I just that kind of stuff just blows me away. Yeah, boy George, not your boy.
Yeah, boy George.
Yeah, boy George. Not much defense works against accurate passing except D-line pressure. Vandy was immune to the most common penalty in football versus a top 10 defensive line. No holding penalties. They had no holding penalties. And they got the ball out quick for sure. They definitely negated our pass rush, and there just wasn't much we could do about it. You wonder again if that's just a regular game and there is no change. What does the defense look like? NH3425, AU best not look past Mercer given recent years. I'm not convinced one way or the other on Durkin yet. Finish the season strong and let's see what happens. Mercer, are they still putting up just insane?
Yeah, they're 9-1 too, I believe. But I mean, again, I think they're division below. I mean, are they not?
I'll look it
FCS?
up. I think they're Division 2, whatever that is. But yeah, they definitely don't need a slouch there. NH3425 again. AU needs a Kurt Signetti or Lanning style coach to get AU back in the shape. It took them less than 3 years. What is that? What do you think he means by that?
I think he's thinking that they probably were ahead of the rebuilding schedule and the timetable on that, and got their teams back to competing for the playoffs quicker. I think Lanning did it faster than Signetti did. I will say this: anybody that's an Auburn fan can think however they want. Do not fall for the trap or the narrative if a new coach comes in where they say it's going to take some time or it's going to give them 3 years. Bull crap. No. If this roster,
most coaches won't say the stuff that Hugh Freeze said.
Yeah, but I mean, you're in an era now where you can go. It's like free agency. Go get players or retain the roster you have, and you can win right away.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. I think by year 2, you should be ready to rock and roll now. NH3425 again. Chances of Durkin being retained next year. I think he means probably as a coordinator. I really think that's a pipe dream. I could be wrong on that, but I really think that is a unless maybe you hire an offensive coach, but even then, I mean, I think I've got to think about human nature. I got to think the whole aspect of like tribalism, like guys being Durkin guys and being kind of turned off that he didn't get the job. You know what I mean? Like there's just, to me, I wish Durkin could stay here forever, but I don't know that it's realistic. Am I crazy there?
No, human nature is the biggest aspect of that. The human element of everybody. Naturally, if you want the job and you don't get the job, there's that inherent, well, they don't think I'm good enough to be the head coach and be here. I'll go somewhere else. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's just human nature, and we all feel that way. Now, if you get an offensive coordinator an offensive head coach that's a head coach that's very dynamic and charismatic, and he meets with Durkin first and says, we can win a championship and I got to have you. And oh, by the way, they've given me X amount in a salary pool. And Durkin, who makes 2.5 now, Auburn says you're that valuable. You now make 3.5. Then you're talking about a different scenario.
Maybe so. I think it only works with an offensive coach.
Yeah, and it has to be the offensive coach has to want it, which – yeah, I mean, it's got to be the right personality.
Yep. Jacob Johnson says, who have you heard, Dap?
Won't say it because what Kyle just said, it's a test, and I'm not failing that test. I failed enough tests, in my life. I'm not failing this one.
James Stallin says, cough, cough, dilly, dilly.
Next.
We'll see. We'll see. I know supposedly he told his team he wasn't going anywhere.
Well, let me tell you, can I say something on that? I do have this. This didn't come out of the Auburn building, so I can say it because I can give a crap about Arizona. And then, of course, I'm going to get ripped by Zach going, you had to work Arizona in there, but this is legitimate. There are people that in the Arizona media that I trust that have covered Arizona and Arizona State athletics for 30 years. And I've built kind of a network and a friendship with them over the last couple of years with just back and forth. I was getting unsolicited texts as early as or as late as last night in my hotel room and private messages saying, don't buy that he told his team stuff that he's interviewing with Auburn this week.
Yeah.
Now that comes from people that I trust that have covered, and especially this crowd that's called the Phoenix Wildcats Club that has a lot of people that are pretty noteworthy alumni that live in Phoenix that are Arizona alumni. Now, is that wishful thinking because they want Dillingham gone? I don't know, but I'm just telling you, it's coming from that state, not just what we hear inside the state of Alabama.
Are you in any Wildcat clubs?
No,
Daryl?
no. I never went to school there, so I can't be a member of any club.
Well, that's lame.
Well, I guess I could be called sidewalk, like some people like to call people, but
that's a little inside joke there. Zach Dixon, still can't believe we lost the game where we had 2 100-yard wide receivers, a 100-yard rusher, almost had 200-yard rushers, by the way, and a 300-yard passer. That is so Auburn. I mean, that was a.
Do you guys remember the stat that was shown? Okay, when they did the calls, the top worst 10 calls in college football. Remember that? And Auburn had the top 3. Do you remember the percentage chance of somebody having the top 3?
Yes, it was 0.015%, 0.0015%. 2% or something like that.
The percentage of losing the Iron Bowl 2 years ago on 4th and 31 was 99.999%. And then Vanderbilt being one win and 170 losses given. That is
we're record breaking, baby.
That is where we are right now as a football. I mean, it's historically, statistically an anomaly where it's like unheard of. I mean, you have a better chance to get struck by lightning or win the lottery.
Were made to be broken.
That's true. And I guess the only thing I could say is, which I always tell Zach, that the trend is made to be reversed. I mean, at some point,
the numbers have to come back.
The odds are that it's going to have to come back to water level.
Oh, eventually. All right, got a couple more. Let's see here.
Dap, do you need to go do something?
No, I'm good. We're rolling now, and I haven't gotten the text, so this is
all right.
Too much fun.
Sweet. Let's go. Does the offensive performance show potential coaches what we could have? That's a
great point. Oh, that's a wonderful point.
Don't y'all think the potential coaches know what we have?
I would think football people know. Like, that's one thing.
Yeah, we're probably like, what are they doing? They could be doing, but it's still, when you see it in its reality and you see it, it's a lot sexier.
Oh, sure. It's to see it in action versus potential. Oh, I love it. Young Joker 23. Why not start Deuce versus Mercer? Jackson Arnold won't be here in 2026. There's a quarterback dilemma.
I think they should start Deuce.
Sure. I'm sure we'll talk about that a lot over the next
2 weeks.
Yeah. NH3425, I'll say this, that I thought our defense would have noticed with Vandy the counters or trick plays on 3rd or 4th down. I saw the jump pass a mile away. 35 second half points is unacceptable. Fix it, DJ. I don't think anybody would argue that. I don't even think DJ would argue that.
I want to give a little insight on that. It was really cool. There was a Los Angeles Ram and an Arizona Cardinals scout, and I asked them at the start of the 4th quarter when I was ready to head down. We were on the elevator together, and I said, "What gave Auburn's defense so many problems in the second half?" And they nailed it. They said they're spreading them out, they're going tempo, and they're Auburn continues to play man, and Vanderbilt was running a receiver outside and then running a receiver inside behind that on the backside, and Auburn couldn't cover it because you can't get to the quarterback also if you're getting held all night. So it was just a combination of all that. It allowed those routes to develop, and it was causing Auburn secondary all kind of stuff.
I can't remember if we said something at halftime after they had just driven down in like 4 or 5 plays. We're like, that's the game plan. I think we were like, man, that's the game plan. That's if I'm Vanderbilt, that's what I'm doing, is I'm throwing the ball and going with tempo, and that's exactly what
they fell into that too. They lucked into that because they had to go tempo because of the time of the clock, or they wouldn't have. And when they did, they found something.
Yep. I Speak Gift says, sorry I wasn't there for game day. Mother's going through stage 4 cancer. Hate to hear that, man. I will say she was proud of the offense and the players' heart.
Well, we are praying for your mother, and that's the most
Absolutely.
important thing. This stuff we're talking about is trivial compared to that. So you're in our prayers.
Absolutely.
Hang in there, man. Thank you for all you do for us. Thomas Jones, when do y'all realistically think we will hear real news about the new coach before the season is over or after the season, worried about losing key players. Let's talk about that for a second. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think you're going to have a head coach on December 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that John Cohen is working this thing. I think you're going to have a head coach. I'm talking just as soon as that Iron Bowl's over. I think there's going to be one right away because signing day will be that following Wednesday. So November 30th is the Saturday, correct? That's the Iron Bowl. December 1st is Sunday, and then Wednesday is signing day. I really do. I think that's what they're going to have.
I think we actually have one more day. I think 29th is the Saturday. Let me double check that. Which I know that sounds trivial, but that extra day, guys.
Yeah, between Saturday and that Wednesday.
Yes, it's the 22nd. So you have that one extra day. Saturday between Wednesday regardless, but you have that one extra day. And remember, Auburn was ready to pull the trigger on Lane Kiffin. They were going to announce it the Sunday after the Egg Bowl and Iron Bowl, which would have been that same time frame. It would have been the Egg Bowl was played Friday, Iron Bowl Saturday. Kiffin asked for it allegedly to be not talked about till after the Egg Bowl. Why would you not follow the same path?
Hugh was hired before December.
Yep.
November 29th is when Hugh was hired. So I think they're going to move extremely quick if they can. So guessing, I would assume that you would start hearing stuff that last week for sure.
And Cohen was pretty clear on his timeline. Like, I don't think you say that publicly if you don't anticipate executing it. Like, why would you publicly put yourself in a box, if you don't have to? So he must feel pretty confident about it.
Look, you go ahead. Sorry. You're going to put
go ahead. But I
was going to say, anybody that knows if there's an athletic director worth his salt, when you decide to pull the trigger on somebody, you have a short list of people that you want to hire and that are your candidates that you're going to make say no. So it's not like I'm going to, start looking or search or he had a good idea before Hugh Freeze was fired, who he wanted Auburn's next coach to be.
I would imagine they were talking about it well before. They were feeling it out well before.
Probably the offseason. I mean, to be honest with you, they should have been.
Yeah. Zach, you want to do that one?
Sure.
Zach, haven't seen Crane on Locked on Auburn in a while. Young Joker.
Yeah, no, Jake's busy, and we've actually tried like 3 or 4 times, and stuff's come up mostly on my end with kiddos. But no, me and Jake talk a good bit.
NH3425 Cohen have a candidate already, just waiting. I don't think it's that tight. I don't think it's that locked down yet. Do y'all think that could be a possibility?
No, I think he's really doing himself a disservice if you have a candidate and aren't open to what Durkin could do or what other coaches in the last 2 or 3 weeks that you might interview could knock you over in the interview, right? Give yourself a chance to be knocked over. The one thing that concerns me is there are a couple of candidates out there that I don't want anywhere near Auburn that do really, really good in interviews because they come off that way. They're like, you know what I mean? They're like disingenuous, just charismatic snake oil salesmen. I'm not going to mention who they are, but I don't want them anywhere near Auburn. And they do really, really good in the interview process. And that's a little bit of concern about being blown away by them.
Totally fair. Totally fair. James Stalling says my three are in the running is Dilly, Summerall, and Durkin.
Love that list. I'd add
Not a bad list at all.
I'd add Braum, and I don't care that he lost to Cal last week, but I would add
body
Braum
work.
Yep.
Body work there versus just one game. Yep. James Stallings. I like those. I like those guys. I'd be happy with any of those. New member on the search committee, Cam Coleman.
Whatever it takes.
You know what?
Can we talk about
something real quick? Yeah. For a guy that is just playing for his pride and his school and knowing that Auburn's not in a playoff hunt or anything like that and maybe a bowl game, he is playing at such a high level. It speaks volumes of his character and his competitiveness.
I may be way off on this. I think Cam Coleman only needs an excuse to come back to Auburn.
Yeah.
I just think he's looking
for him a reason. Just give him a reason.
He wants to stay here.
Just give him a reason, and I think he'd stay.
Yep.
There are guys I'm concerned about. And I might be ignorant, but like I'm not worried about Cam Coleman. Like I think he's going to be taken care of, and I think he wants to be here.
again, you got to give him a reason to. So I would imagine whatever that may be. I don't know the answer to
I think
that.
there's a handful of those guys.
For sure. Some folks want a coach that has never lost.
That'd be awesome.
That would be fantastic.
That'd be incredible.
Hey, I just want to show you, while we're doing all this, I forgot to take this time just for this public service announcement. Okay. Thank you.
Parker Wilson?
That is Ashton Daniels with
my bad.
With Stanford.
First Bowman.
Zach got this for me as a joke in the summer. Not as a joke, but he,
joke as a gift.
Yeah. And, because I was a big Ashton Daniels truther. All I ever said was it's great having a backup like that, to be fair. I did not see what happened last night.
Okay. No. So we get to the hotel room for media days, and he's like, I'm sorry, I've got this unpacking thing. I gotta put up some stuff from home. And he unrolls this massive Ashton Daniels poster and put it up on the wall in our hotel room.
Even on the ceiling.
It's a growth poster. You stand up next to it, it tells you how tall you are. It was a nice luxury to have, and it's proven itself valuable to have a backup that had experience.
This is a good question. If the offense stays hot, will the new head coach maybe keep Nix? So here's the deal. It's very rare I think it's pretty rare to keep coordinators in general. Like a new coach, you hear the guy like Bud Foster at Virginia Tech. There's just not many of those, I don't think. Brent Venables was maybe one at Oklahoma for a while, right? Wasn't he there through a couple of hires as a coordinator?
Yes.
Those guys just don't really exist. So the good thing is this could be the big break of his career, I think, as a play caller, and he could go find a really good.
And we talked about that. Like we talked about how great of an opportunity that was for him.
Big time. Guys, anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
I think that the bye week, if you were to draw up a bye week, God could not have picked it to come at a better time for Auburn.
Yeah.
The whole week that you have to prepare and to implement and to keep trying to change culture and to work on the things that got you beat. Then you play Mercer. I really like the way this schedule is setting up. And it also helps you with getting some guys back that I think you're going to need against Alabama.
For sure. I almost feel like Cohen wanted really badly to wait to this bye week to make a change, just so something like last night happened.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think what he ended up doing by making that change is he showed some of the fan base what it could look like. So there was hope there, and that's fine. I'm just doing a deeper dive. We all are. I'm just a little bit jaded because I felt this way 3 years ago, right? And I just don't want to get burned twice. So, but I think that remember, everyone was talking about Auburn like this after Texas A&M when Cadillac was, there's unity. We're on the same page. Look how hard they played for him, But anyway.
Last one, we're going to get out of here. You should do a meet and greet one Saturday. We actually did one at the right before the season started, didn't we? I think it was.
We did. And remember, we had tailgates last year, and it's just unfortunately we never had anybody be able to come by.
We're going to do that. Make sure you sign up for membership, and we're going to make sure that there's stuff like that. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Guys, I really appreciate it. Daryl, Zach, thank you all for giving us 45 good minutes of just great conversation. I think we all saw a little bit of both sides of the argument. And I think that was great. Because it feels like now it's so binary. It has to be one way or you're wrong. And I think there's a lot of different ways to look at it. So I appreciate all of y'all's contribution, all the contribution in the comments. We're going to get through this thing, and we're going to be back again soon. So check us out later, and we'll talk again very, very soon.